What's going on, guys? The Original Mako back, and before we get started, a couple real quick things I want to talk about. First thing, so many of you guys who watch these videos aren't subscribed. If you enjoy the content, please hit that subscribe button. I'm going to be pumping out daily content, and it really just keeps me motivated to keep posting these videos, keep posting new fun things that I find, keep doing tips and tricks, and all that type of stuff. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also like and comment. Let me know what kind of content you want to see, whether it's Gunfire Reborn, Risk of Rain, other content. And that leads me to my next thing, which is if you sub to the channel maybe for like Risk of Rain or the Darkest Dungeon stuff I posted or Godfall maybe, none of that stuff's going anywhere. I know it's been a lot of Gunfire Reborn content recently, but they just had their major update, so I'm kind of focusing on that. But Risk of Rain content's going to come back. Godfall, whenever there's updates, is going to be back. And all the other stuff. So it's not going anywhere. But for now, let's just go ahead and jump into this tips and tricks video for the new character. So we'll start by reading off his description. Qing Yan is a skilled martial artist who moves like the wind and is as elusive as shadows. Unlike others, Qing Yan has a dislike of alchemy and shield and chooses instead to indulge in martial arts and armor. With his martial arts prowess, Qing Yan likes to leap into the fray to cleave enemies. That being said, he also likes the smoke and sound of shotguns. So he's not, apparently the shields on Ao Bai and Crown Prince are alchemy shields. I don't know. But he's a fan of armor. So his shield will not automatically regen. You have to hit, as you can see, leap forward with a hard kick, dealing 750 damage to all enemies within 7 meters. Each hit can recover 20% armor. So that's how you recover your armor. There's also a couple other ways we'll talk about. And then his secondary ability, Cleave, is cleave recklessly and deal 1200 damage to the enemies within a fan shape. So all of his Ascension, or his skill tree perks are: if the leap doesn't hit the target, decrease 50% cooldown time. HP and armor up 20. Restore 1 armor point whenever shots hit the enemy. Maximum of 6 per second. It doesn't say that here, but that's the max. Cleave damage plus 300%, or plus 300, not 300%. And when armor reaches 0, immune to normal damage for 2 seconds. This effect can activate again whenever the armor has been fully charged. So a lot of focus around his armor, his abilities. This character, in my opinion, is for sure not even close to the highest skill gap. And the first tip I kind of want to talk about has to go with that, and this is the reason I think he has the highest skill gap, is this. So he doesn't restore armor like normal. We've talked about that. This restores 20% armor. If you play correctly, once you learn how this character works, and you're keeping your leap up at the right times, you're using it to its maximum potential, you're getting some leap cooldown in your Ascension Tree, you can always have armor. Like, you could just not run out of armor, because with normal shields, there's a cooldown time for when the shield starts to recharge. So if you get hit a few times, then you're taking a little bit more damage. You don't really have time to recover that shield before you start taking permanent health damage. With this character, if you start taking some damage and oh crap, I can't get out of this, and your leap is up, you just leap, hit something, restore 20% of that shield, if not more, depending on the other things you have. And it can make for a really, really good synergy. For his leap specifically, he's got this, which can get up to 60% cooldown, just a base 60% cooldown. There is the Last Breath, which at tier 3, or even any of the tiers, it lowers cooldown. But at tier 3, if you just kill an enemy with it, it resets the cooldown immediately. And then the other big one here is Regen Hit. Regain armor on a hit and a certain amount of armor when you miss until tier 3, where you're regaining 100% of your armor, whether leaping hits or not. So if you get the cooldown to the point where it's cooling down in 1-2 seconds or instantly, and you have Regen Hit, there you go. You've got armor forever. The other ones in this tree are actually, the elemental power ones, but the armor enhancement's not bad, and the steel armor is also not bad for like defensive wise. It just gives you an extra amount of armor, and this one gives you lower damage taken after you leap, and actually converts it into shield for 3 seconds on tier 3, which is kind of crazy. So that's my number one tip is learn how the leap works with regenning shield. Figure out the timing you need, figure out the best time to be leaping, the best time to not be leaping, and the best upgrades in this tree to work for you. If you want to do a full leap synergy, absolutely can happen. Just go for it. I don't think it's the best option. I think out of the 3 tiers, it's probably the worst to just go all in on. But there are a few key ones here that's good to pick up every run, like regen hit and gigantic explosion. So that's for the number 1 tip. The number 2 tip, and probably my most favorite, that's not how you do that. Probably my favorite part about this character is his secondary ability, the Cleave. And this yellow tree here is the enhanced hack attack, or Cleave. And this whole right side, all 3 of these, work together in such beautiful harmony and creates something so special. A couple days ago, I had the over 30k Cleave video, which was really, really cool and a lot of fun. I'm still trying to max out his Cleave, and I have a really, really good way to do it. I just need to get the video, get it recorded, and get like everything I need. But there, you can break his Cleave, like break it. I feel like if I had the time, I could legitimately do 100,000 damage with a Cleave. But that's aside the point here. So we'll start with this one. This is the one you want to get early. Easy kill, deal higher Cleave damage to enemies with lower HP, and plus 5 Cleave base damage. That's very important when you kill an enemy with Cleave. So every time you're killing an enemy with Cleave, you are stacking, the damage is ramping higher. The one below that, max Cleave, you just increase the number of Cleaves you have. At tier 3, when you kill an enemy with it, you restore 3 attempts. So if you're doing enough damage, you could just have infinite Cleaves. But the big one, the reason getting easy kill so early, and the reason that it says plus 5 Cleave base damage is so important, is Fierce Wings. The tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 are all crazy, but it goes up by 100% each time. But even at tier 1, plus 100% Cleave base damage. Not plus 100, plus 100%. So this is so crazy, because if you stack enough Cleave and you have this at tier 2 or 3, and your base damage, it starts at 1200, and say you have 700, 800 stacks, that's 2,000. You do 200%, you're doing, well, plus 200%, not even just 200%, but plus 200%. I mean, you're doing 6,000 damage a Cleave. 6,000. And that's not including any of the other effects that buff it. Like, this is so, so good. And when you do higher Cleave damage to enemies with lower HP, it makes it even more. The other ability that works really well with that is actually right here in the reinforcement tree. Enemies that are close to you, you're going to be doing more damage to. So if you have the tier 3 plus 120 damage against enemies within 12 meters, all of your Cleaves are going to be within 12 meters. So that's going to be proccing every time. And it is so, so good. And just makes the Cleave a very, very deadly and versatile thing to upgrade. So mess around with the Cleave. There's a lot of fun things you can do with that. And there's actually 2 scrolls that I'll show here that make it even better. Even better. First one, double exhilaration, just double your secondary skill capacity. So that's just a way to get you even more Cleaves. And untold effort. When using secondary skill, there's a 50% chance to double the consumption and 50% chance to deal double damage. So double consumption obviously is tough. You don't want to be consuming double. But if you proc double damage on your Cleave, and say in the example where I was doing 33,000 damage, you're doing 60,000 for a Cleave? It's so, so good. So that's something you definitely want to mess around with. And since we're on the scroll page, I'll go into my next tip here. Tip number 3. This character is all about getting up close and personal, obviously. You know, he's got a leap that leaps towards enemies, the Cleave that does Cleave damage in a close range. You want to be restoring that armor by leaping near enemies and hitting. So you want to look for scrolls, and there's one very specifically that you're probably thinking of already as well, or 2 scrolls, but one very specifically with the up close and personal topic here that you want to look for early, and that is Veteran. Now, the 2 scrolls I'm going to name here don't actually work together, so it's like a one or the other. But Veteran giving you +1 max HP for every enemy you kill within 7 meters. A lot of your kills are going to be within 7 meters, so picking this up just sets you up. The earlier you pick it up, the better you're set up for late game. Or the next best option is, I think this one's the best, the single best scroll you can get on this character. But the second one, if you don't get that, is Paranormality. HP is fixed at 1, but your shield and armor is doubled. Once again, if you have really good leap synergy, or you know how to play the character, like you've messed around a lot, you understand how the regenning shield works. If you just get double your armor, then you're going to have armor up consistently if you're regenning it with your leap constantly. Like, it's so, gives you so much buffer room to restore your shield that, like, you're going to be living pretty long. I don't think it's quite as good as Veteran, but it is still a very, very good scroll to pick up. And also on that note, one of the more interesting parts about this character is that, in my opinion, the single best scroll for the last boss is irrelevant. You don't want to pick it up at all. Deflection Shield, you're going to be within 15 meters consistently, almost all the time. So this is a terrible, this goes from one of the best perks you can pick up to one of the worst perks you can pick up on this character, and one just because of a quick change to how shields work. But this you don't want anywhere near you. Also, for obvious reasons, you don't want Flesh and Bones either. I mean, Flesh and Bones still isn't bad, but kind of the whole point of building around this character is his shield, or his armor, so you don't want that. The next tip that I have, tip number 4 here, is going to be about his E ability, his leap. So obviously it restores armor. Yes, that's cool, that's good. But very importantly, this can be used as an escape mechanism. I can't tell you how many times I've used E to just get out of dodge. Like when there's the challenge, when enemies die, they create a corrosive pool that slows you down. If you're standing in a corrosive pool and you're slow and there's a rogue arsonist with a flamethrower coming up on you, being able to shift and then E out and just kind of reset is massive. Yes, you want to have it up as much as you can for your armor, but as a last second, like, just kind of, I need to get out of here, this is huge. Because it gets you pretty far away and can get you out of harm's way very fast. So using E as an escape mechanism is something you don't want to be doing consistently, but it is always there as an option, and it's always good to remember, hey, I'm about to die. I either E out of here or I'm gonna die. So it's not worth it keeping the E up if you're just gonna be dead anyway. And then the last tip that I have is kind of like his last sentence here. He also likes the smoke and sound of shotguns. Shotguns is kind of the point there that I'm trying to make. The weapons you want to be using typically, not all the time, but typically are close range weapons, like the concealed ammo, the angelic aura, the fire dragon is pretty good. Justice, the chicken choker, is even not too shabby. And the demon lore, which I don't have unlocked yet. The wild hunt, you know, normally I'd be like, yeah, you'd want to be using shotguns with this guy, but the wild hunt is just so underwhelming that I don't suggest using it with anything. But point being, you want to have these close range weapons that can kind of work with your other synergies, like Veteran, or I keep clicking on the wrong thing, or the Ascension Tree, where you're doing greater damage to enemies that are close, or, you know, a lot of the close range weapons are high rate of fire. So when you have the shield being broken and you're having an even greater rate of fire, all this type of stuff, all these synergies work really well being close to enemies. So finding the weapons that have really good effects or are just better overall when you're up close and personal is the way you want to roll with this character. And I'm gonna keep running with him. I really think I'm gonna get a stupid amount of damage on a cleave here soon and get that video up, because I found a very easy way to break it if you can get easy kill early. But this character is so much fun to play. It's such a high skill gap, definitely more than the other two characters for sure. Like, you can just, if you're good enough with this guy, you can live forever. Like, you don't need to worry about your offense because your defense is so good. But definitely at first, he's harder to play. He's harder than the other two. But as you get better, it's going to become easier to do runs with this character than the other two, for sure. So keep that in mind. Go through all these tips. Find your own way to play, as always, with every character. Maybe you want to just full-on stack this mid-tree, which, by all means, do it. There's not the middle tree is great. You're going to be doing a ton of damage. And even it has a little bit of defensive stuff like Nova Release and Last Stand. So this character has a lot of options. Really mess around with it. Find your own play style that you enjoy, that you want to play with. And this character can easily become one of your favorites, like it has mine. It's definitely contesting Albai for my favorite character. So that's it for the tips and tricks video on Qing Yan. I'm planning on having another tips and tricks for Nightmare mode coming up soon. Depending on when I can get the right build and fully break this guy will depend on when that video goes up. So there's a lot of really good content for this coming. And like I said earlier, the other content, Risk of Rain and Godfall and all this other stuff's not going anywhere, I promise. Tomorrow's Wednesday. It's Roguelike Wednesday. So we're going to have a different roguelike that I haven't played yet or hasn't been seen on this channel going up. And that's going to be our little 2-week series there. So get ready for that. A lot of content coming your way. If you want to catch even more content or see me try to break this character live, check me out at Twitch, twitch.tv/theoriginalmako. The link will be in the description. I'm live every day around 8 Eastern until about midnight or between midnight and 2 a.m. Eastern. So 4 to 6 hours usually every night. Sometimes less, sometimes more. It just depends on the day. But we have a lot of fun in there. Other than that, like I said, please be sure to hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed the content. We have a lot of stuff coming. There's going to be so much to do with this game and Risk of Rain and all these other roguelikes that I'm playing. So get ready for that. Make sure to subscribe and follow me on Twitch. You guys are seriously amazing. I can't thank you guys enough for all the support that I've gotten this past month. So let me know your thoughts on this character. Let me know how you play this character, and I will catch you guys in the next video. I love your faces. We'll see you then.